Hello and welcome to the channel. As many of you know, I am a huge fan of Exalted 3rd edition. And this channel is to a large extent dedicated to that game. I do make some content for other games as well and some general RPG content, but Exalted is kind of the main thing, as well as the game that I like the most. This video is a bit different than normal. It's a bit less formal than normal. It's not a scripted video, as you may notice. Usually when I make a video, I figure out what I want the video to be about. Then I write a script, and when I start recording the video, I usually try to memorize aspects of the script. Sometimes I read the script while recording myself and try to make it seem as if I'm looking at the camera and not at the script. For this video, I don't have a script. It's more in the line of what could be compared to how I would present a live stream. But this is pre-recorded. I do consider maybe live streaming additional follow-up videos to this one, because I intend for this to be a series. So, what is the video about? Well, as I mentioned, I love Exalted. I love Solars. I do think that over Exalted 3rd edition's lifespan, Solars are getting a lot of flack, because they were the original Exalted. They were developed by a different development team, and as more supplements have come out, we have had charms for Dragonblooded, we have had charms for Lunars, charms for Exigents are coming, and the Solar charms were written first. And a lot of fans have some issues with the way Solar charms have been written. Many fans criticize the Solar charms for being often boring, often underwhelming in a way, even though they are powerful in a sense. My theory, I didn't write for Exalted when the core book was written. So when it was released, I was a fan just like everyone else. But something I have learned over recent years is that charm philosophy as a whole has changed since the core book. When you look at the Solar charms in the core book, you see issues that wouldn't be written today, and that won't be seen in upcoming Exalt types, because there are some fundamental rules for writing charms that was lost in the core book. And I think part of things to blame is that as writers write more charms, they get more familiar with writing charms and they become better at writing charms. We have a new developer, Robert Vance, who is focusing very heavily on charms and is basically an expert at writing charms, and he knows how he wants charms written. Some of the things that you can see in the older charms that are actively discouraged in the newer charms are poorly implemented mechanics, or poorly presented mechanics rather. It's very important that a charm is concise and clear. There shouldn't be any misconceptions about how the charm actually works. The amount of words assigned to a charm should be as minimal as possible, so that all of the information in the charm is actually necessary and useful. Fluff should rarely, if ever, be more than a single sentence at the beginning of the charm. There are charms in the core book that are so situational that they almost never come into play. That's also actively discouraged. A charm should be useful at the table, and there should be chances to bring out a charm in almost any game session. You shouldn't sit on a stack of charms that you never use. When writing a charm today, I would say that the charm should have a broad use, but it could be better in a specific narrow focus. And then there are a bunch of dice tricks. Dice tricks are still common in charms today, but when you look at dice tricks in the core book, there are a bunch of them that are completely unnecessary because the dice tricks were written for a situation that wasn't play-tested extensively. We're going to look at charms, and I am going to stumble a bit more on the words in this video because things aren't scripted and because English is my second language. I was about to say second is my English language forever. But the purpose of this video series even, is to go through all of the solar charm categories and review the charms and revise some charms and hopefully make solars a little bit more interesting in the end. In this video I'm going to start with Archery because it's the first charm tree in the book, and hopefully at some point we'll have a video for each of the 25 categories, and perhaps we can even look at some martial arts or maybe even the core book evocations, and but that's for the future. Let's start with Archery. Here we go. And before we actually start with Archery, because this is going to take a while, I'm going to make some coffee. So, see you soon. I'm back. And coffee is on the way. And I should add before we start that I'm not saying that my way of reviewing and revising these charms are the right way to go, and I'm not saying that these revisions are something you should bring forth to your own groups. This is a little bit of an experiment for me. It's a little bit of a creative exercise for me, and the goal is to make an entertaining video, even though it's going to be a long one. And I do have, as I mentioned, some experience writing charms for Exalted. My first splat book that I wrote for was Exigence, and I cannot tell you what I wrote for that book because that's something that hasn't been teased yet. But it was a very fun project, and I wrote 16,000 words of charms for that Exigent, and I did 14,000 words of charms, and I did cooperate with another writer who wrote the remaining charms, and I'm very curious to see how those charms change in development when Robert and Eric have their hands on them, and I'm very curious to see how you will feel about them when they are actually released or actually previewed in the future. Hopefully in a potential Kickstarter or something. So that will be fun. It was a very fun project, and I did learn a lot from writing those charms and getting the red lines from the developers with a very clear picture of what they wanted, and very valuable feedback to help me improve as a charm writer. And hopefully I can bring some of this with me in this video to actually fix the solar charms. Anyway, Archery. The first charm is Vice Arrow. I think that this charm is fairly good. Let's see here. You pay 1 mote The Exalted may use this charm to supplement a withering or decisive attack. Supplement an attack. I mean, the language can be cleared up a little, but reducing the benefits of cover. The defense bonus of heavy and light cover is reduced by 1, while characters under no cover suffer -1 penalty. This is very clear effect for 1 motes. In addition, after taking an aim action, the Solar may activate this charm to strike an opponent in full cover. The Exalted shoots along an arc or angle that perfectly matches their opponent's position. So long as there is some opening where an arrow can get through, Wise Arrow treats a character in full cover as if he merely has +3 defense. This part here is quite interesting, because this one raises a question. When you shoot at something in full cover, do you have line of sight on the target? I believe the default assumption is no, you haven't. But that's not clear from reading the charm alone. I would say that when attacking a character in full cover, using Wise Arrow to actually be able to hit the target, I would inflict a blindness penalty to the character for not being able to see the target. And I know that this is counteracted in a later charm, but this charm is a little bit tricky. I think it's a good charm. I think it's mostly well written. I just think that without mentioning that the target in full cover can actually be invisible to you, and that can penalize your archery attack, I think there could be a lot of misconceptions about how this secondary effect could be used. So I would probably keep it as it is, though the personal taste is that some charms should be able to have Archer 1 instead of 2 as a prerequisite, but that's just a personal thing, so nothing too major. But let's see if we can rewrite this charm from scratch. Wise Arrow, cost 1 mote. Say, with skill and effort, Excel guides your arrow to its mark. It's a simple fluff text. Nothing wrong with it in my opinion. The Exalt may use this charm to supplement an attack. Normally, depending on the Exalt type and what the assumptions are regarding how their characters work, it could be necessary to write a ranged attack or an archery attack. But because this is an archer charm, it's assumed that it can only be used for archery. So I only write supplement an attack. And because it's a uniform attack that has the same effect regardless of how you attack, whether it's withering or decisive, I don't feel the need to write out withering or decisive attack. That only takes up word count. Supplement an attack, because despite how you make your attack, the effect will be the same. In addition, okay, so we have the base effect. I do want to add a note actually about blindness, but I don't want it to take up too much space to be distracting from the overall effect. So I should probably add this last. So long as there's some opening where an arrow can get through, Wise Arrow treats a character in full cover as if he merely has +3 defense. If this is used to attack a target outside of the Solar's line of sight, if this is used to attack a target outside of the Solar's line of sight, she'll suffer a penalty. How much is the blindness penalty now? Is it -5 or -3? Addiction. Blind. Here we go. The character cannot see. -3 penalty for blindness. She'll suffer a -3 penalty on her attack. I think that makes sense. Let's jump back to Archery here. Let's see. In addition, after taking an aim action, the Solar may activate this charm to strike an opponent in full cover, so long as there's some opening where an arrow can get through. Wise Arrow treats a character in full cover as if it merely has +3 defense. If this is used to attack a target outside of the Solar's line of sight, she'll suffer a -3 penalty on her attack. So this doesn't change the charm itself, but it adds a clarification that's easily missed by both storytellers and players, but that I think is necessary and that will synergize with the later charm. So I think I'm happy with this. I'm happy with this Wise Arrow. Let's look at Sight Without Eyes. The excellent. Wait here. 1 mode, Archer 3, Reflexive, 1 tick. The Exalted opens her eyes not to the visual world, but to the world of essence, sensing her target in the fashion. She may make an Archer attack without penalties for visual conditions. Smoke, fog and pitch darkness are no longer a problem for her, though other factors such as high winds and cover still apply against the attack. At Archer 5 Essence 3, the Solar can momentarily see through cover, perceiving her targets as silhouettes, the colors of a bright anima. This is what should counteract this secondary effect. Because if you look at this charm, if you look at this effect, you don't really get a clear picture of what mechanical impact this have. The Solar can momentarily see through cover, piercing her targets as silhouettes, the colors of bright anima. So she activates this charm. She doesn't have to make an attack to activate it. So she can activate it just to look beyond cover, which is a very good synergy with the previous charm. If she has it activated and actually makes an attack, this secondary effect would negate the -3 penalty on attacking a target outside the line of sight. And I think this is the intention the former developers had when they wrote the charm, even if they didn't specify it in Wise Arrow. So I think that Sight Without Eyes can be left mostly as it is, but I wonder if this effect isn't a bit too demanding. Archer 5 Essence 3 just to negate the penalty from Wise Arrow. It's kind of steep, I think. Let's see here. Sight Without Eyes. Another taste change. I do want to lower this to Archer 2 actually. And it doesn't have to be reduced like with the previous charm, it's just my personal taste. Type Reflexive. I think it's good that this charm is reflexive. Because when it's reflexive it allows you to activate it when it's your action. You can activate it in response to an attack. You can activate it in response to another person's action. The duration is 1 tick, but it doesn't say that it is your tick. It's any tick you activate the charm on. So if you're attacked by someone hiding behind cover, for example, you can activate this in response to their attack to be able to see the person attacking you. And even though the charm doesn't specify it, I think that a clever player and an encouraging storyteller should be able to find ways to use Sight Without Eyes as a stunt fodder in a sense. I'm not going to rewrite the entire charm, so let's say, put a ... here. And then the second part. I would like to reduce this to Archery 3, Essence 2. I don't think you write the pluses anymore. The solar can... How do we clarify this? I think we don't need to clarify this really if we instead change the way we phrase Wise Arrow. If this is used to attack a target, the solar cannot perceive. Price penalty. I think that's better, because if you cannot perceive the target, you suffer the penalty, and this effect outright states that you perceive the target as silhouettes. Silhouettes, the colors of bright anima. So that should be enough for clarification, I think. And it gives a nice synergy to them. And I think this requirement reduction is reasonable. I don't think Archer 5 Essence 2 is Essence 3 should be required for a solar. I'm just thinking if I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I'm going with this. I'm happy with this. Force without fire. No, blood without balance. 3 motes, Archer 4 Essence 1, type reflexive, decisive only, duration instant. Drawing upon the perfect moment to shoot, the solar sees nothing but their target. Upon becoming the beneficiary of a distract gambit, if the solar's new initiative would allow her to act immediately, she may use this charm to fire a ranged decisive attack from up to long range without an aim action. In addition, if the lawgiver has under 7 initiative, the base damage of this attack gains essence bonus dice. Speaking of poor design. The problem with this charm is how situational it is. I'm sure that many of you who are Exalted players can give plenty of suggestions for how you have become the beneficiary of a distract gambit. No, you cannot, because most players don't use the distract gambit. I've played this game a lot, and I think I've seen the distract gambit maybe once in a game, twice maybe, and I think it's the same player who has used them, and it's the only player who has basically known what it does and what it's good for. The problem with Blood Without Balance is that it's a charm that's very likely never to be used. Unless you really strategize with another player. And that's another problem with the charm as well, that the situation it demands requires that you're the beneficiary of something that another player has done. You basically rely on another player to do a certain action so that you can use your charm. I think that Blood Without Balance would be a much better charm if it had a broad effect that can be used more often, and then maybe provide an additional effect when used in response to a distract gambit. The question is what that could be. And while I'm thinking about that, I'm going to go get my girlfie. Let's see here. Blood Without Balance. Type reflexive. Keywords decisive only. The goal here is to only change what's necessary to make the charm good. And It should also be a logical follow-up from Sight Without Eyes. And what does Sight Without Eyes do? It lets you see well. And Blood Without Balance should see the perfect moment to shoot. So the base effect, if you ignore the whole Distract Gambit thing, the base effect allows you to make a long range attack without an aim action. Are there other more broad situations to set up that? This is a bit of a difficult one. I think that I would like to, if you jump straight to the secondary effect here. Wait, here. In addition, if the lawgiver has under 7 initiative, the base damage of this attack gains essence bonus dice. This effect could be changed. If you really wanted to benefit from a Distract Gambit, then this could be moved around so a Distract Gambit would provide essence bonus dice, but yeah, this is a tricky one. Drawing upon the perfect moment to shoot. Let's take a look at Distract Gambits a little bit here. Page 200. Distract. Difficulty 3 to 5. The character leads, threatens or feints his target into the path of an ally's decisive attack. The attacker declares an ally who is not in initiative crash as the beneficiary of this distraction. That ally gains the initiative the character loses as a result of successfully executing this gambit. Okay. The transferred initiative must be used to attack the gambit's target on the ally's next turn, or it is lost. The question is if the charm can be changed a bit to set up distract actions or encourage distract actions as well. I should make a gambit video at some point. If the Solar's new initiative would allow her to act immediately, she may use this charm to fire a ranged. That's another interesting detail, because if the Solar's new initiative is not enough to act for her to act immediately, then that entire effect is pointless as well. I think, what if we make it like this? After having taken an aim action or become the beneficiary of a distract gambit, the Solar may make an immediate decisive attack up to long range as long as her initiative is at least twice her target's. If you made an aim action and your initiative is at least twice your target, this charm would allow you to attack immediately. I do think I may have to increase the cost a bit, because that makes it quite a bit more powerful. 4 modes. So it still benefits from a distract gambit as well, and it requires a specific situation for you to set up. So I think this is an improvement. But if the target is crashed, the Solar adds essence dice to base damage. The point here is that you want a high initiative, and you want a high initiative to launch the attack, and the cannon charm requires you to have a low initiative to deal additional damage. So I do think I like the charm more if it's completely rewritten like this, because it makes it more useful. You can use it after aiming and not just after someone else makes a distract gambit. It basically gives you a free aim or 4-mode aim as long as you have high initiative. Balance is a bit tricky, but I think 4 modes is fine for this. Then again, essence damage dice to a decisive attack can be quite... Should there be 5 modes? No. Let's stick to 4 modes. I think this is fine. Let's go to the next charm. Force without fire. 3 modes, Archery 4, SS1. Wait, let's write this up. Force without fire. Cost 3 modes. Means Archery. Do we want to lower this as well? I do think I want to lower most charms, actually. Type supplemental. Let's see here. The Solar knocks an arrow with purpose, sending a tremulous pulse through her surroundings as she gathers hurricane force into her bowstring. The Solar makes a withering attack from short or close range, and a pulverizing bolt of force surrounds her arrow as it leaps from her bow. If the attack does at least as much damage as her target's stamina, that initiative is lost rather than transferred to the Solar, and the target is knocked down and back an entire range band. This force is sufficient to end a rush against any target. So, let's say the target has stamina 3, and you deal 5 initiative damage to the target. The charm reduces that to 2 initiative damage. No. The target still suffers 5 initiative damage, but you only gain 2 initiative. And then the target is knocked down and back an entire range band. The knockdown and back is an incredibly powerful effect, because that basically not only moves the target to a different range band, it also knocks them prone. And that's extremely powerful for 3 modes. Maybe I should keep this at Archer 4. So I do think that the reduced initiative is it adds a complication to the charm that I don't think is necessary, and I do think that the charm could be a bit more elegant if you take the initiative loss and instead add that to the charm cost. So I would do it like this. 5 modes, maybe even 6 modes. Let's say 5 modes for now. The Solar knocks an arrow with purpose, sending a tremulous pulse through her. Ooh, the charm says Solar two times in a row. I don't like that. This force is sufficient to end a rush against any target. Well, I think that's obvious, isn't it? You knock someone down. You can't rush if they're prone. Yeah, I don't think this is a clarification that's actually needed. So let's remove that. The question is, because now you get the full initiative from this version, making it extremely powerful. Is 5 modes enough? Is 5 modes enough? No, it's not enough. 6 modes. I feel much more comfortable like this. Trance of Unhesitating Speed. 4 modes, 1 willpower. Archery 3, Essence 1. The Solar strums her bow and fills the air with sharp notes. This charm allows the Exalted to attack multiple. You know what? I'm going to increase this archery for. Here we go. This charm allows the Exalt to attack multiple targets or a single target multiple times by spreading her total current initiative between decisive attacks. Okay, each attack must contain at least 3 initiative, and extra initiative must be spread as evenly as possible between shots. Okay. For example, an Exalt with 11 initiative attacking 3 targets could make 2 decisive attacks with 4 raw damage, and the third with only 3. In addition, each 10 she rolls on an attack increases the base damage of that attack by 1. Each 10 she rolls increases base damage, so the base damage dies. Oh right, so each 10 she rolls on the attack roll adds a die to the damage roll. The Exalt's initiative does not reset until she has completed every attack, and she may not make more attacks than she has ammunition or dexterity. This attack can be made without an aim action. But can it be made at any range without an aim action? 4 modes, 1 willpower. I think this is mostly good as it is. I think. Yeah. I don't think this needs to be changed actually. Each attack increases the base damage. Archery 3, Essence 1. I think so. Trance of Unhesitating Speed. A-okay. The charm has a lot of elements to it. It has the flurry element to it. It has the each 10 adds a damage die element to it. And it has the you don't have to aim element to it. So there's basically 3 different elements to the same charm. I still think that it was written in a way that doesn't make these 3 different elements seem superfluous or too complicated. So I think that's a pretty good charm actually. Phantom Arrow technique. There's a lot of text to this one, so 1 mode, Archery 3, Essence 1, Reflexive non-instant. Why is this reflexive? Palming a mote of essence, the lawgiver pulls a thorn from her heart and fires it at the breast of her enemy. With this charm, the solar may continue firing her bow even when she has run out of arrows. Okay. That's why it's reflexive. In addition, once per scene, the Exalt may suffuse a phantom or physical arrow with the import of one of her intimacies. Doing so gives her attack a number of non-charm bonus dice equal to the intimacy's strength, but also temporarily numbs her to that intimacy. She may not use this attack again until she has spent significant effort in restoring or remembering the intimacy, or in the case of a negative intimacy, has been reminded of her motivation for her ire. Non-charm bonus dice equal to the intimacy strength. The thing with the intimacy strengths, and I'm going to talk more about this when I make a video about intimacies or social influence or whatever. But the way intimacies are written, their strength are determined by how much they add to resolve. So a minor intimacy increases resolve by 2, a major by 3, and a defining by 4. So when a charm states that the effect depends on the intimacy strength, that means +2, +3, or +4, not to be confused with +1, +2, and +3, which is quite common mistake that people do. And I personally think that the game should have had +1, 2, or 3 by default. And I do think that the way an intimacy increases and decreases resolve should be the same. Because according to the rules it's not. A minor intimacy adds +2 to resolve, or it lowers resolve by -1. And I suppose there's a purpose for that, but it's completely pointless from a game design perspective, in my opinion. I think that a positive intimacy and a negative intimacy of the same intensity should be able to cancel each other out if one of them increase the resolve and the other one decrease resolve. But someone doesn't agree with that apparently. So if I were to homebrew the entire Exalted 3rd edition system, I would have a intimacy strength be +1, +2, +3, but in this case it's +2, 3, and 4. And I do think that Phantom Arrow technique is good. The once per scene effect is very powerful. I do think though that when you import an intimacy into the charm, the intimacy should be valuable in the scene itself. And it doesn't really specify that the intimacy needs to be present in the scene somehow, so I suppose it can be completely irrelevant. She cannot use this attack again until she has spent significant effort in restoring or remembering the intimacy. I'm not going to write this, I'm going to write A-OK. But I do think that the charm would have been better if there was a sentence requiring that the intimacy is relevant to the scene itself. But I think that's a matter of taste, so I'm not going to bother too much. Adamant Arrow technique. At Essence 3+, the Solar may infuse a single phantom or physical arrow per scene with her enduring essence. So long as she lives, the arrow cannot be destroyed or pulled from the target. This is a different charm. I would cut this completely. Adamant Arrow technique. Cost means Archery. I'm not going to bother with any fluff text because that's not the purpose of the video. This charm can be used once per scene. Basically like this. I think Adamant Arrow technique, I'm not saying that it's useful enough to require a separate charm purchase, but I think it's different enough from the original charm to only complicate that charm. I don't like that as a charm design. I do prefer permanent upgrades that you actually pay for, but this charm could be improved to make it more useful, because now you can only use it once a scene when used as written here. And I'm not really sure if that's needed. So long as she lives, the arrow cannot be destroyed. We could nerf this a little bit. Cannot be destroyed or pulled from the target. So long as the solar lives. Maybe something like that you can do it if you're incredibly strong. But do I like this though? The cool thing about this charm, when written like this, is that it can be used as a cool stunt fodder. You know, you shoot arrows into a wall, use them to climb. And I guess you can do that with normal arrows as well, but some storytellers may require athletic charms, like graceful crane strands or something, or feather foot style, to to allow you to do that, but so long as the solar lives, destroying the arrow or pulling it from the target requires a strength 5 feet of strength. Such arrows can be only she who fired the arrow. We could add a secondary effect, maybe, that once per scene now you still have both effects. It's a little bit more useful. Question is, because it doesn't increase the cost, is strength 5 feet too demanding? What if it requires a strength? What if it requires a higher of essence or 3 in strength? Strength higher of solar's essence or 3. That means that the charm gets more powerful the more powerful you are. I think this could work. This could be neat. A neat little effect. Let's go with this. Fiery arrow attack. 2 modes, supplemental decisive on the phantom arrow technique. Charging your arrow with essence, the Exalt fires a heavy shot that rends the air as it passes onto her target, lighting the arrow on fire. If the arrow strikes flammable materials, a violent blaze instantly seeks to consume the struck object. This fire is natural and may spread to surrounding objects or cause combustible materials to explode. That's a lot of fluff text. When used in a decisive attack against the target, it adds 1 automatic success to the damage roll. Hold on here. 1 auto success damage. If the attack does at least 3 levels of damage, the target catches on fire and must contend with Solar's Essence lethal dice of damage every turn until he is able to extinguish himself. And how does he extinguish himself? That's not specified. When used in a decisive attack against the target, adds 1 automatic success to the damage roll. This at least specifies how he can extinguish himself. But someone else should be able to extinguish him as well. So. Until an action is spent extinguishing him. I don't really see anything directly wrong with it. 2 modes. 2 modes is cheap, but you basically pay for an automatic success. And a lot of potential more damage, so I would probably, maybe not a popular decision, but I would probably increase to 3 modes. Would I keep the rest? Yes, I would. The requirements as well. Yes. This is a bit of a tricky one though. The charm both feels minor and major at the same time, and that's an interesting quality in the charm. It's very good, but I'm not sure if it's fun. But I'll probably leave it like this. Next one, There Is No Wind. 3 modes, reflexive duel instant, sight without eyes. The solar grazes her shot with unerring precision and fires it along a flow of essence, causing it to slice through the air between the arrow and its mark. Her attack ignores penalties from non-visual conditions such as high winds, bad weather, flawed ammunition and so on. In addition, her withering attack accuracy is calculated as if it were made from short range regardless of the distance she's firing from. With appropriate awareness charms, the solar may use this charm to make attacks from extreme long range. That's okay. But it doesn't negate the need for an aim action, I think. It only affects the accuracy bonus. Withering attack accuracy is calculated as if it were made from short range, regardless of the distance. I mean, accuracy without distance is the one that negates the aim, so I know that there is no wind does not, but I just wonder if a clarification is needed. I don't think so. I think it's clear enough. Let's look at Sight Without Eyes again. She will make an arch attack without penalties for visual conditions. Smoke, fog, and pitch darkness are no longer a problem for her, though other factors such as high winds and cover still apply. So, high winds, bad weather, flawed ammunitions. Let's look at the ranges, because this is potentially very good or underwhelming. I just need to remind myself of the mortal weapons. Short range gives +4 accuracy, close -2, so if you use this charm from close range, you actually gain a 6 dice benefit for the cost of the charm. If you use it from medium range, you get a 2 dice benefit and a 4 dice benefit from long range. And that's the accuracy bonus, so that's equivalent to non-charm dice bonus. There Is No Wind is a very good charm. 3 moves, Archer 5, its essence 2. The only problem I have, this is a minor gripe. Now I have coffee on my cheek. I think this part of the charm should be available at Essence 1. So I am going to rewrite it. And I'm going to write it like this. Cost 3 modes, Mins, Archery 4. The solar graces her shop. I would probably put this at 1 mode. Let's go with 2. So if you combine this with Sight Without Eyes, it costs 3 modes to negate all penalties. I think that's fine. At Archer 4, Essence 2, this charm. And I would keep the cost at 2, I think. Even though it's... Nah, I think I'll... Along the solar... Should I keep 3 modes? You can get the 6 dice benefit, so I think... Along the solar 2... And 1 mode with the charm. Maybe like this. What do you think? Comment below. Is this an improvement? I think this is an improvement. Yes, this is an improvement. Accuracy without distance. 1 mode, 1 willpower.
The soul extends her anima through her hands and into her weapons, joining archer, target and arrow into a single being. As long as she's making an archer-based attack, this charm allows the solar to complete an aim action instantly and converts the subsequent 3 bonus dice into automatic non-charm successes. So far so good. An Essence 5 repurchase allows solar to fire a withering version of this attack against a crashed opponent. This attack rolls damage even if the attack roll generated no successes. This attack rolls damage even if the attack roll... So you perfectly hit a crash target. So how do you evade it? Question is, should I nerf this? As long as she's making an archer-based attack, the charm allows it to complete an aim action instantly and converts the subsequent 3 bonus dice into automatic non-charm successes. That effect alone is good. An Essence 5 repurchase allows the solar to fire a withering version of this attack against a crashed opponent. Okay, so it's withering at least. But a withering attack against a crashed opponent, I hate that. That's what you call withering grind. This attack rolls damage even if... You know what? This is my rewrite. Remove the S bit. I don't like it. And yes, I didn't just nerf your archery character, but I don't care. I don't like that effect. The charm is good enough without it. And it doesn't add anything other than the ability to grind initiative of a crash target, and it's just completely stupid, so good riddance. Arrow Storm technique. Seething with demonstrative ire, the solar palms a storm of essence and fills the sky with demonstrative fire. With this attack, the solar unleashes a barrage of arrows around the focus, striking up to essence multiplied with 3 targets up to medium range from her initial target. Up to medium, that's a long range. Rolls a single attack against the defenses of every target and then apply damage. These extra decisive attacks carry a base damage of her perception. So, let's see here. Target 1 character. Effect up to essence times 3. Is this additional targets? This is including the main character. That's a huge range. Roll a single attack against the defenses of every target and then apply damage. Roll a single attack against defense, apply damage. And then we have the fun part here. These extra decisive attacks carry base damage of her perception. Extra decisive attacks carry plus perception damage dice. Divvy up. Okay. There's a lot of elements to this charm. It's very powerful. It's extremely powerful. Because it, let's say you have Essence 3. You can target 9 characters. And you may have Perception 3. That's basically Perception multiplied with 9 additional initiative, which you lash out. So that's a powerful charm. There's one thing I'm missing from it.
when using this charm on a battle group, if you use the way the charm is written right now, the battle group is considered a single target. I think it needs a specification. I think it should have a different effect on a battle group. But I'm not sure. You could technically target, with Essence 3, you could technically target 9 battle groups with this charm, which is weird. That's weird, man, that's weird. Arrow Storm technique, why are you like this? Let's see if we can do something with this. Times 3, it's so weird. It's not often you have that many characters that aren't already in the battle group. So this is basically a lesser version of the original charm, and I did nerf it a little bit to reduce the number of individual targets. I do want to add something now, because I think this is a charm where it makes sense for it to have a different effect against battle groups. I'm targeting decisive attacks against battle groups deal additional damage, I think, for every 3 damage you inflict. Was it like that? This charm can be used to target a single battle group. I'm not actually sure about this. I think I may be overcomplicating the charm. Maybe I should leave it as it is. Is this effect necessary? I don't think so. Actually, yeah, I think I may do so actually. The more I think about it. Let's keep Arrow Storm technique as it is. It can be used on multiple battle groups as if they were individual targets, because it hasn't specified that it cannot be used on a battle group. So I think that's something we have to live with. So let's continue. Flashing Vengeance draw. To invite the wrath of the lawgiver is to invoke one's own doom. The soul against Essence automatic successes to her joined battle result, and if she acts before her target, her first attack is unblockable. Flashing Vengeance draw is expressly permitted to be used in combination with charms that boost joined battle results, so long as they are not based in melee, thrown or brawl. So, Flashing Vengeance draw. So this is a joined battle charm. I'm just thinking about... I know the idea. There are a bunch of different joined battle charms and different abilities, but there's nothing expressly written in this charm that makes it an archery charm in particular. It builds off Trance of Unhesitating speed, but I wonder if I wouldn't make some kind of bridge charm here, because I think that this could be put in awareness as well, unless first attack. I think it's only a matter of how you phrase it. Now it's an archery charm. Let's continue. Hunter's Swift Answer. 5/1 Willpower, Archer 5, Essence 2, Flashing Vengeance draw. The lawgiver suffers no impunities. With terrific speed and ferocious import, she may answer the blades of her transgressors. When the solo succeeds at a disengage action, she may unleash a withering or decisive archery attack from close range. As with the very first charm, you can just unleash an attack. Even if she has already attacked that turn. Ooh, that's nice.
This attack must be directed at the one she broke away from. I think this charm is good, and it's very useful. It is situational, that you need to succeed at the disengage action, but what makes this charm different from Blood Without Distance, is that name? Blood Without Balance, is that the situation here is something you can set up yourself. You can choose to disengage, which can trigger your charm. You're not reliant upon another player's action, as with the Distract Gambit. So this charm is A-OK, and it's actually extremely good. But 5 modes, 1 willpower. I think it's good, but I think it can... we can make one change. Cost 4 modes, 1 willpower. 5 modes is a bit much. I know it's just a 1 mode difference, but the difference is Animar not, so it can be valuable. Immaculate. I want ball text. Immaculate Golden Bow. 5 modes, 1 willpower again. Archery 4, Essence 2. Simple none, 1 scene. Phantom arrow technique. Honing her skill and focusing her will, the Exalt births a stunning, varicolored bow from her palm. This charm creates a weapon with stats identical to Power Bow. The weapon is made of solidified essence forged in all the colors of solar anima and glows like a torch. For additional purchases, players may add custom evocations to Immaculate Golden Bow. Players should work with their storyteller to create evocations that fit the character's personality or iconic anima manifestation. In addition, Immaculate Golden Bow has the following power. Sky Eater's Crest. For 4 modes, Immaculate Golden Bow is transformed for a single turn, growing wings, spines, fins, or other appendages appropriate to the Exalt's iconic manifestation, providing a barrier of heavy cover against ranged attacks. That's a nice barrier. This is pretty much solid, I think. Yeah. Archer 4 Essence 2, is that reasonable? 1 willpower. You know what? I'm removing the willpower cost and reducing the requirements. So why do I remove the willpower? Immaculate Golden Bow should be an alternative to an artifact, I think. You should be able to build a solar archer that's based around the Immaculate Golden Bow, and by keeping the 5 mode commitment, you basically have an artifact with a commitment cost that's committed as long as the artifact is summoned. If you have the willpower cost, you vastly reduce the number of times in a typical day that you would reasonably bring forth this weapon. I think that if you do a lot of battling in a day, then the willpower cost would be annoying as a player, and it doesn't really bring anything other than encourage the player to ignore this charm and get an artifact instead. So 5 modes, Archery 3, and you have a solid artifact bow. Okay. Dazzling Flare Attack is the next charm. Cost 3 modes, Archery 5, Essence 2 with Hyperflexive, keywords decisive only, duration instant, upgrades Fiery Arrow attack that we had so much fun with before. The solar shoots from her heart. The arrow is part of her. As such, she can sometimes reach out and draw her essence across an arrow in flight, causing it to flash and flare, surging towards its target like a smite from the sun. This charm can only be activated on an attack supplemented by Fiery Arrow attack. When the attack generates at least 1/10, this charm adds 1 automatic success to the attack, and for each 10 in the attack, it adds 1 die to the attack's raw damage. As the name suggests, Dazzling Flare attack goes off like a spectacular flare that can... You know what? Do we have Fiery Arrow attack here? I would make this... I know that the difference here, or the reason why it's not written like this to begin with, is because you can decide to add the Dazzling Flare attack after the attack has been made because it's reflexive. So, because I believe Fiery Arrow attack is supplemental, yes. And that just occurred to me that maybe this rewrite is unnecessary. For each 10 in the attack roll, it adds 1. Yeah, I think so. Okay, I'm going to explain my reasoning here a little bit more clearly. The thing is that whenever a charm builds off another charm and basically upgrades that previous charm, it's easier presented. It's easier to present that upgrade charm as a permanent charm. The difference with Dazzling Flare attack that I didn't really take into account until I realized it later was that Dazzling Flare attack is only useful after you already know the attack roll. If you rewrite it as a permanent charm like I attempted to do, then you need to declare Dazzling Flare attack immediately when you declare Fiery Arrow attack, and that's not what the charm is supposed to do. It's supposed to be an option for after you have hit, depending on how your dice looks, to benefit the damage. I think most of it is fine actually. This 110. This charm adds 1 automatic success to the attack. And for each 10 in the attack roll. So you first need to roll a 10, and that's why it's reflexive. This charm adds 1 automatic success to the attack, and for each 10 in the attack roll it adds 1 die to the attack's raw damage. So every 10 adds 1 die to the raw damage. As the name suggests, Dazzling Flare attack goes off like a spectacular flare that can be seen for miles. I think this could be interesting if it had, if you could, absorb your own anima into it, for additional damage or something. But I think that would overcomplicate it. Every target using shadows for cover within 2 range bands must roll stealth with a -2 success penalty to the attempt, or be revealed. I think that's fine. I think that's fine. Let's move on. 7 Omens shot. 3 modes, 1 willpower, archery, 5 S and 3 simple, decides only instant accuracy without distance. Clearing your mind of all thoughts, the solar focuses only on the arrow drawn back against their bowstring. Feeling for the flow of essence, she needs to make an incredible shot. The solar must take a special long aim action, an aim action lasting 3 rounds, oh fuck that, against a single target in order to use this charm. Invoking 7 Omens shot converts the normal 3... Well, I immediately say fuck that. Invoking 7 Omens shot converts the normal 3 bonus dice from aiming into 3 automatic non-charm successes and adds any extra successes on the attack roll to the attack's raw damage. Accuracy with distance can shorten the action by a single round, so 2 rounds then. Let me only add a single. My problem with 7 Omens shot is that it's very difficult to use in combat, because you need to spend 3 rounds basically being outside of combat, basically not participating in the combat in any other way than to aim, and that's no fun. 7 Omens shot is a really good sniping charm when you're lying in ambush and just trying to kill someone who doesn't even know they are in combat. That's what the charm is good for. And I'm not sure. I'm not... I like the idea of a sniping charm. I really do. But I don't like the idea of waiting 3 rounds for the result. Essence 3. Let's play around a little here. After taking an aim action. I'm just thinking of a good way to phrase this charm. This charm. I mean, I think this could be an option if you spend a second consecutive charm successes. I mean, then you can aim for 2 actions for the additional effect. My only gripe with the charm is the time it takes to shoot. But it's also supposed to be a charm that you don't often use in combat. You're going to use it to snipe off enemies. My thought process is that the charm could be written in a way that either has a reduced effect for a shorter aim, or that has an increased effect when used from an ambush or from cover. So that's what I'm thinking about. If the attack is made from ambush and extra successes on the attack roll adds to the attacks, so that's a lot of attacks. And the extra successes on the roll adds to raw damage. Adds dice to raw damage. This effect exists in accuracy without distance. So shaman does to complete an aim action instantly and converts the subsequent 3 bonus dice into automatic non-charm success. That alone is better than this. I don't like the overlap. Maybe this should be in... Maybe it should just be this. I'm going to try something here. This is an idea. It makes the charm quite dangerous. After having taken an aim action, the solar may use 7 Omens shot in order to convert extra successes from the attack into raw damage dice. If used from ambush, the damage roll has double 10s, so this is still a sniping assassination charm. It doesn't provide its own aim bonus, because you might as well combo it with accuracy without distance, which will also bring everything down to a single round. It might be too powerful at the moment, but I think it's more interesting than what we had. Let's add the last effect as well. Killing an opponent with this charm. Could be a little overtuned, but 5 modes. Because it's raw damage dice and double 10s. Let's keep it for now. We could always jump back later. Revolving Bow Discipline. 6 modes 1 willpower. Archery 5 essence 3 type simple. Perilous withering only instant arrow storm technique. My favorite charm. Holding arrows between each finger, the Solar draws down on her target, firing with profound speed and focus. The Solar may draw and attack a single target repeatedly, launching multiple withering attacks until she either misses or crashes her opponent. Revolving Bow Discipline can only be used within short or close range and can't be used on targets already in crash. Used against the battle group, the Solar attacks until she misses or depletes the group's magnitude. At Essence 4+, the Solar gains 1 point of temporary willpower when she crashes a foe with this attack. Launching multiple withering attacks. This is 6 motes, 1 willpower. It's extremely powerful. I think it's a-okay, actually. I mean, with a few changes we have made, most of the archer tree is quite fine, actually. Not sure if I'm actually... I think I'm improving the charms. But archery may not be the best charm tree to start with because it's fairly solid. But I think we can find something in every charm tree. Finishing Snipe. With instincts honed for the kill, the Exalt feels the momentum of battle break and flee her target. When an opponent within range suffers crash, the Lawgiver draws on this moment to attack again, even if she has already used the combat action that turn. This attack requires no aim action, but if she wishes to use Finishing Snipe, the Lawgiver must not be engaged in a simple action that would prevent her from attacking. I think this is fairly solid, actually. It's a secondary attack on a crash target. 7 motes, so it's fairly expensive. That means that you can't repeat it every turn. If she wishes to use finishes, then the Lawgiver must not be engaged in a simple action that would prevent her from attacking. I'm going to say a-okay on Finishing Snipe. And then we have a Rain of Feathered Death. 3 motes per duplicate. What does that mean? The Lawgiver hones her killing prowess, splitting an arrow into a devastating barrage. The Exalt only needs a single arrow to fire this shot. Her one arrow splits into multiple arrows and all are directed against a single target. The Solar may split her shot into a maximum dexterity arrows. If the attack hits, each created arrow hits with a raw damage equal to the Solar's current initiative minus her successes on each damage roll. Ah, wait, oh, I see, yeah, that makes sense. Therefore, if she rolls 10 damage dice and gains 2 successes on the first roll, the second roll will feature 8 damage dice. If that gains 4 successes, the third damage roll will be 4 dice. If the Exalt runs out of damage dice due to successful hits, her created arrows cannot do less than essence damage each. If she runs out of damage dice due to her created arrows cannot do less than essence damage. So they still deal damage. 3 motes per duplicate. So she can spend, if she has dexterity 5, she can spend 15 motes, 1 willpower. For 5 attacks. Let's say she has initiative 15. That's 5 successes on the first attack, initiative 10 on the second. 5 successes again, initiative 5 on the third. 5 successes again, initiative 0 on the fourth, but that would let her have 3 dice instead. Because her essence. And then 3 again on the 5th. Oof, that's a lot of damage. So you basically get 5 chances to burn out your initiative with this charm. Do I see any issues with it? It cannot be combined with the other multi-action charms because it requires a single target. So that's good. You can still fail miserably by not rolling any damage successes. It basically acts like a reroll in that case. I think for a Solar,
Archer 5, Essence 3. I think the charm is okay. It's deadly, but Shadow Seeking Arrow. Cost 3 modes to initiative. During combat, if the lawgiver's awareness check uncovers an opponent, she may make an attack against that opponent regardless of the initiative order without using her attack action for the round and without having to use an aim action. The Solar may pay to use this charm multiple times to attack multiple opponents she has uncovered in a single awareness check. Ooh. So it's stackable. But it doesn't have the stackable keyword because that's one of the forgotten keywords that's never used, like bridge. I think this is that's a good solid charm, I think. A-okay. Searing, Gunfire, Sunfire, not Gunfire, Sunfire, Interdiction. 4 modes, 1 initiative, 1 willpower. The lawgiver fires an arrow that courses with burning essence, striking down like a falling star to explode at random's feet. The attack is a difficulty 3 gambit that requires no aim action. However, if the Exalted aims before using the charm, she may act first on the next round, regardless of her place in the initiative order. But if another character uses magic to act first on the same round, compare their initiative to determine order of actions. The initiative roll on this gambit is made with double 9s. If successful, it blasts... Okay, this is... it's written in a weird way. This part of the charm should be moved later in the charm, I think. It should focus on resolving the difficulty 3 gambit first. So let's jump down here. The initiative roll on this gambit is made with double 9s for some reason. If successful, it blasts the target out of position, forcing him to act 2 plus extra successes on the gambit's initiative roll. Ticks later than he would have. So it's moved. It doesn't affect his initiative, it only affects when he acts. If Searing, Sunfire, Interdiction drops the target to a tick of 0 less, he loses his turn for the round. Okay, so delay. Searing, Sunfire, Interdiction cannot be used on the same target twice consecutively. Okay, I see. So the initiative roll is made with double 9s, and that's only to get as much as possible, to move them as much as possible through the initiative track. I'm okay with this, I think. Yeah, it's kind of clumsily written, but I get it. It's a cool effect. 4 modes. It should have the perilous keyword though, but I'm not sure. Maybe they don't add those. In reality, all decisive only attacks should have the perilous keyword as well, but whatevs. An Essence 3 plus repurchase of this charm lowers the difficulty of the gambit to 2 and waives the initiative cost upon success. Okay, why? Why is that worth a repurchase? An Essence 4 repurchase with upgraded charm resets the Solar's attack if she drops an opponent from a higher initiative tick to a lower initiative tick than her own. Oh, I hate this. An Essence 5 repurchase of the second upgrade. An Essence 5 repurchase of the second upgrade allows the Solar to use Searing, Sunfire, Interdiction twice consecutively on the same target, dropping the willpower cost from the second shot. If the Solar delays her opponent with both shots, he is also forward backwards a range band, even if this would for... Oh my god. How many upgrades are there? This is, I think this is officially my least favorite solar charm, I think. It's a big ugly mess. The first part of the charm is okay. It could be condensed a bit, it could be written more elegantly, but it's okay. I can live with that effect. Once you look at the repurchases, and I think this is true for repurchases in general. When you write a charm with the repurchases that upgrades the charm, it adds complexity to the original charm. And I think the best repurchases don't add too many new elements to the charm because a charm should be as uncomplicated as possible. An ideal charm is something that you can use at the table without the need of a charm card to tell you what the charm does. And I guarantee you that there's not a player that would be able to memorize what Searing, Sunfire, Interdiction does. So I would probably cut this repurchase completely. Cut the Essence 3 repurchase. An Essence 4 repurchase of upgrade charm resets the Solar's attack if she drops an opponent from a higher initiative tick to a lower initiative tick than her own. I can keep this. I would question if it should be reduced to Essence 3, but it's also stupid that it says an Essence 3 plus repurchase when the charm is already Essence 3. It feels like it's been an Essence 2 charm, and then they wrote this repurchase, and then they changed it to an Essence 3 charm, but they didn't change this phrasing. So that's kind of ugly. But cut the Essence 3 repurchase, keep the Essence 4 repurchase, because that's good enough as it is. An Essence 5 repurchase of the second upgrade level so that you use twice consecutively on the same target. I hate this so much. Dropping the willpower cost from the second shot. If the Solar delays her opponent with both shots, he is also forced backwards a range band, even if this would force him to off a cliff or a rooftop. An Essence 6 plus repurchase of the previous upgrade allows the lawgiver to use this gambit repeatedly against a single target. Each time she successfully hits with this gambit, she may immediately fire the gambit again so long as she has ammunition. If she misses or forces her target to lose a turn, the charm ends. As with the previous upgrade, waive the willpower cost from all but the first shot. If the Solar stops an opponent from acting, award her a point of willpower. As above, for every 2 shots the opponent is delayed, is forced back a range band. Oh my god. And then we have Solar can immediately target a new opponent with a bow effect upon dropping another opponent to tick 0. First of all, Essence 6 plus repurchases are completely superfluous, because high essence effects, they don't really fit 3rd edition, I think. I mean, I'm not saying that they shouldn't exist, I'm saying that they shouldn't take up charm space. So I'm willing to ignore everything Essence 6 or above. The question is if the Essence 6 repurchase can be downgraded to a new Essence 5 repurchase, and I would say kind of. But oh my god, I just hate this charm so much. I hate it. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. So I hate that charm, so cut everything Essence 6 plus. because it's a waste of space. This entire charm is a waste of space, because it's just one big mess. Incredibly poorly written, incredibly convoluted, overly complicated. It has too many elements. The upgrades don't really add anything interesting to the charm other than forcing you to buy the charm again for additional bonuses. I think the charm is good enough as it is. I can save one repurchase, but I don't really want to bother with it anymore. It makes me sick. This charm ruined my whole mood. It ruined my day. It ruined this video. This video sucks. You should downvote this video just because this charm exists and we wasted time on it. So, let's move on. Fuck this entire charm. I'm sure there's someone who disagrees. No way. What's next? Solar Spike. The Lawgiver draws a blazing bolt of essence across her bow and fires it. The attack ignores the range of her weapon and can be made from medium or long range without an aim action, or extreme range with an aim action. The Exalted must have a higher initiative than her target to use this attack. The Conjured Spike does not use the Solar's initiative to do damage, but instead has a raw damage equal to her current temporary willpower multiplied by 1, or the rating of an intimacy she is trying to uphold or protect. Solar Spike is incompatible with Fiery Arrow attack and Rain of Feather Death, and does not reset the Exalted's initiative to base on a hit. Solar Spike may only be used once per scene, but can be reset by landing a withering attack with 6 10s rolled across. Oh my fucking god. We have come to the part of the solar tree that's bloat. I feel like this charm and the previous one are both charms that were probably added to the charm tree just to fill it out. And I think there are some interesting aspects with Solar Spike. Just the fact that you can make a decisive attack without using your initiative is a neat thing to have at higher essence. But let's make some changes. Let's see here, the attack ignores the range of her weapon and can be made from medium or long range without an aim action. I think this is a superfluous part of the charm, because there are... When you look through all the individual charms in the charm tree, and you have charms that cover this area. We have accuracy without distance, for example, that covers the aim thing. And I think that adding these effects that are covered by other charms to other charms, it's both unnecessary bloat, and it makes the other charms, it diminishes the other charms. I would much prefer to just have Solar Spike and use it together with accuracy without distance, to counteract the aim requirement. But at the same time, accuracy without distance doesn't let you attack from extreme range, I believe. I don't think so. Let's look. Complete an aim action instantly converts the subsequent 3 bonus dice into automatic non-charms. This allows you to just ignore the aim, or complete the aim action immediately, but you limit the attack at the range of the weapon. So Solar Spike increases the range. I would probably rephrase it like this. a bit of an ugly sentence, but you get the point. I think this is a much better effect than what we have in Solar Spike. The Exalt must have higher initiative than the target to use this attack. The Conjure Spike does not use the Solar's initiative to do damage, but instead has a raw damage equal to a current Templar. This is... I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the fact that it uses willpower on intimacy instead of initiative. The only thing I'm thinking about is why do you need to have higher initiative than your target, for example, when initiative is basically irrelevant to the charm itself. So I wonder if the charm wouldn't make more sense if you actually use your initiative, but it doesn't use up your initiative. But it's limited to once per scene. I think I'm going to write it like that. We can remove this. I think it's irrelevant if your initiative is higher or lower than your target's. It shouldn't affect the charm. If the Exalt's attack is trying to uphold, protect, intimacy. The charm is incompatible with Fiery Arrow attack, but why is it that? I need to take a look at them a little. I don't think there's any point to making it incompatible, actually, so let's ignore that part. Rain of Feathered Death. I would say that you don't really need to type out that it's incompatible with Rain of Feathered Death, because Solar Spike is meant to be a single attack per scene. But then again, Rain of Feathered Death allows for multiple attacks, right? Multiple arrows. No, it's still a single attack. I think we should probably keep the incompatible there. The charm is incompatible with Rain of Feathered Death. I think this is fine. Here comes the fun part, but can be reset by landing a Withering attack. Now, landing a Withering attack with 6 10s rolled across the attack and damage rolls is probably the most annoying reset condition I've ever seen. Because the charm wants you to spend more time counting dice and less time actually engaging in the narrative of the scene. So we're going to change this. The problem is what reset condition makes sense for this. The whole adding intimacy to the attack's base damage is very close to Phantom Arrow. Non-charm bonus dice. No! Phantom Arrow benefits the attack, not the damage. That's cool. Nah, this doesn't make sense. I'm not sure, to be honest. All I know is that I don't like the way the current reset condition is written, because I don't like the dice tricks. Maybe just once per scene. Unless reset by X. Let's get back to this later. Heart-eating Incineration. 3 motes, 3 anima. The Solar Judgment scourges her target with devouring flames. She may only pay to use this attack when unleashing Solar Spike and when her anima is at bonfire. Instead of conjuring Solar Spike, the Solar draws her anima as if she were pulling an arrow from a quiver, her iconic manifestation taking the form of a living, screaming missile.
This attack follows the rules of Solar Spike, but adds the Solar's initiative to the raw damage of the attack. Okay. We're going to go back to Solar Spike already, and we're going to reset this charm. Because Heart-Eating Incineration builds off it, so we're going to keep it as it is, actually. Kind of. I'm going to write it out. Must have higher initiative than her target. And then I'm going to scratch this part because I don't want it. So now on a second read I realized that I've been sitting so long with Solar Spike even though I had completely misread the charm from the start. I read the charm as willpower or intimacy, not willpower multiplied by intimacy, because that's a completely different thing. So let's scratch the last however long I've spent on Solar Spike, and let's keep it like this. This charm may already. I still want to change the reset condition, but I'm fine with the rest. So basically we have changed the way the targeting, the aiming thing, and we have removed this condition because it's unnecessary, and we're going to change the reset condition, but the rest of the charm is the same. And the Heart-Eating Incineration, let's look at it again. Attack follows rules but adds the Solar's initiative to raw damage of the attack. This does cause the Lawgiver's initiative to reset on a hit, but if Heart-Eating Incineration kills her target, the target's body and soul are engulfed in a torrent of flames and burned away completely, restoring a number of motes to the Solar equal to her intimacy rating. For the target, I think for the intimacy rating for the target or for a target where attack was used to protect. Use resets the enemy to the dim level. Spirits destroyed with this attack may still reform as they normally might. Okay, so it's not ghost slaying, that's good. I do think this is a cool upgrade to Solar Spike. It makes it insanely powerful, but it's cool. So the only thing I want to change is this. My reasoning for this is because Solar Spike can be used with an intimacy the character is trying to uphold or protect. It makes sense if that's the intimacy used for Heart-Eating Incineration. And if it's limited to an intimacy for the actual targets, that would ruin the fun. If killing the target actually protects another intimacy, then it should still be applicable, is my point. So let's move on. Dust and Ash Sleight. Now I'm going to eat something after this. Cost 3 motes. The Lawgiver may use the charm to shorten the long aim action of 7 Omens shot by 1 round, forfeiting the prerequisites automatic non-charm successes to make the attack faster. An Essence 5 repurchase out so that. Okay, so this affects 7 Omens shot in a way that doesn't make sense based on how we have rewritten it. The Lawgiver may use the charm to shorten the long aim action by 1 round, forfeiting the prerequisites automatic non-charm successes. to make the attack faster. And Essence 5 plus repurchase low solar to add the lost successes back into the attack. I mean, this charm makes 7 Omens shot a completely different deal, because then you can use that charm together with accuracy without distance to get it down to a single aim round instead of this stupid long aim. And that fixes most of my issues with the charm. I think the problem here is that this is a situation when Dust and Ash Sleight is going to be removed. We're going to jump back to 7 Omens shot, and we're going to add it in as an upgrade. We're going to restore this charm as it was originally intended. Keep as written. Shortens the long aim by 1 round, forfeiting the prerequisites. The attack faster. Repurchasing Sharp and Essence 5. Lost the solar. There we go. So we keep 7 Omens shot, we remove Dust and Ash Sleight and add it to 7 Omens shot. And the difference between these repurchases and the ones in Searing, Sunfire, Interdiction is that these actually modify the existing rules rather than add new rules onto the charms, because this basically makes the charm less complicated instead of more complicated, as with Interdiction. So that's my reasoning behind this. Soon done. Heavens Crash Down. 6 modes, 2 initiative, 1 willpower. I don't think I've read these charms in years, actually. When the lawgiver is lost my voice. When the lawgiver is cornered and fighting for her life, the burning power of her judgment becomes even more terrifying. Drawing the burning essence of her life from her very wounds, she can unleash a powerful essence-laden shot from her bow that can override other attacks and overwhelm her attackers. The solar may use this charm to clash attacks against her from short or close range, but only when she's in her -4 health levels. The clash gains essence automatic successes, and the damage roll doubles 9s. However, initiative damage by this roll is not transferred to the solar, it is instead re-rolled as decisive damage against her target, ignoring hardness and doubling 10s. What? Is this for real? When I wrote my exigent charms, I wrote a charm that basically had 3 different elements to it. It had an extra cost. No. It removed an existing cost. It had 1 dice benefit, and it had a secondary benefit on top of that. The red lines I got was that the charm had too many effects for what it needed to do. So I basically removed 1 of these 3 different elements of the charms and kept 2, and it was a more reasonable charm. When you look at charms like Heavens Crash Down, you see this. It's a clash.
you use the charm to clash. That's one thing. From short or close range, that's the second thing. You cannot use it from medium range, you cannot use it from long range. You must use it from short or close range. But you need to be at -4 health levels. And the clash gains essence, automatic successes. The damage roll doubles 9s. However, initiative damage by this roll is not transferred to the solar. It's instead re-rolled as decisive damage against their target, ignoring hardness and doubling tense. This charm has 9 elements to it. I'm not saying that charms cannot have multiple elements, especially at higher essence. Much of the appeal of higher essence charms is that individual charms become more powerful, and being more powerful usually means more elements to them, or some additional complications at least. But these should be complications that make sense and that adds to the charm instead of detracts from the charms. There's a lot of stupid bullshit in this charm, so let's rewrite it. I think it's okay to have a charm that can be used to crash. The solar may use this, but then again, every attack can be used to crash, so clash, sorry. Every attack can be used to clash, so it's completely pointless to have this charm clash. So let's remove the need for clash. Keywords perilous withering only. It's part of the fluff that the character should be damaged, wounded when using the charm, so we can keep that. That's a complication we can keep. I don't think it's necessary to be in her -4 health levels. Oh, that's right. Converting her wound penalty. Converting her wound penalty into automatic successes on her attack. This, I think this is more reasonable. It still has quite a few of the complications in it, but they are more manageable like this, I think. You need to be wounded, because when you're wounded, you will convert your wounds into additional successes. I think that's better than to simply rely on being at -4. It's just that if you're at -4, the benefit is greater. So, converting wound penalty to automatic successes, 1 complication. Double 9, 1 complication. Isn't transferred to solar, 1 complication. Rerolled as decisive, 1 complication. Hardness and doubling tense. So, we removed 3 elements at least. I think the charm is much better like this. And Essence 5 repurchase of the charm removes the perilous keyword. That's interesting. Do we need the perilous keyword at all? Allowing the soul to spend herself into lower negative initiative numbers while crashed. Yeah, I think keep the Essence 5 repurchase. It's fine. It's fine. 2 more charms, then we're done.
Screaming Arrow Stance. 6 modes, Archer 5, Essence 4, Finishing Snipe. The logger feels the channels of her bow open when her prey falls into peril. This charm allows the Exalt to fire on a crash target from medium or long range without using an aim action. This is another charm that feels superfluous because we have accuracy without distance, I think. I would rather just use that than require this. The only difference here is that this, you need to commit these modes for the entire scene, just so that when a target is crashed, you can ignore aim actions. I think this is a waste. Yeah, remove it. Remove this charm. We don't need it. A Whispered Prayer of Judgment. And we're going to change the prerequisite charms here, because Finishing Snap. Archer 5, Essence 5, Supplemental 1, Mode, Uniform. After using an aim action, solo may use this charm to charge your shot with Wrathful Essence, adding Essence damage to the attack. It's fine. It's boring, but it's fine. The thing is that I think that the end of a charm tree should view the charms much like capstone charms in evocations and martial arts. When it comes to evocations and martial arts, the entire tree is building up towards a capstone that's not just more powerful than many other charms in the tree, but is more evocative in a way. It's the kind of a charm that really screams Exalt. And I think that the capstone charm of a solar charm tree should be the same. It should be a capstone that screams Solar Archer. And Whispered Prayer of Judgment doesn't do that. It's just another damage boost. That's it, damage boost. It's fine. It's a fine charm. It's boring as all hell, but it's fine. So we could spend some time writing new charms to better feel like capstone charms, but that's not really the purpose of this video. This video is meant to kind of review and, in my opinion, fix the Solar Archery tree. And I think there's nothing inherently wrong with Whispered Prayer of Judgment, so it doesn't really need fixing, even though it's boring. So let's just go back and look at what we've done. We started with Wise Arrow, and we added a clarification. We changed the requirements for the upgrade on Sight Without Eyes. We changed Blood Without Balance to make it more useful, because it was a charm that was too situational to be of use. So I think this is a much more interesting charm than what we had before. We changed Force Without Fire to... how did we change? We simplified Force Without Fire a little bit. I don't think there was anything inherently wrong with Force Without Fire. I just think that this simplification made it more easy to use. We have some charms that are okay. We had this upgrade that Adamant Arrow technique, my version of Adamant Arrow technique here, is not a necessary revision of the charm tree. I think you could very well keep it in Phantom Arrow technique as it was. I just think that this is more interesting, and I prefer charms to be written with less stuff in each individual charm, and I think this is a cool optional way of
changing things around a bit, but you can keep it as it was without anything being too bad. Fiery arrow attack. Yeah, we clarified the flame extinction thing there. So it's a minor change. There's no wind. Yeah, we made it possible for the Solar to acquire the penalty reduction at Essence 1. So I think the charm is more accessible like this. It's a bit on the weak side for an Essence 1 charm, but I think it's better than the previous version at least. So I'm happy with this change. I would allow this at my table. We remove the unnecessary Essence 5 repurchase on accuracy without distance. We changed Flashing Vengeance draw to feel more like an archery charm and less like an awareness charm. We remove the willpower cost of Immaculate Golden Bow to make it a compelling build for an archer solar. We had a lot of frustrations around 7 Omens shot before reversing everything and merging it with that follow-up charm that I forgot the name of. Then we have some okay charms here. Searing, Sunfire, Interdiction is something I want to burn at the stake. I hate this charm so much that I don't even want to waste my time trying to revise it. So that's my opinion on this charm. So do with it as you wish. Solar Spike. I had some ideas for how I thought we could upgrade Solar Spike, but then reversed them after finding her heart-eating Incineration. So that was a bit of a waste of time, but I think Solar Spike is in a decent position now. I do think this reset condition should be something more interesting than a simple dice trick. I'm not sure what it should be though, so if you have any ideas, I welcome. First of all, it's very unlikely that you have watched this far. I recorded this for 3.5 hours now. I don't know how long the actual video will be, but I guess that a lot will be cut. A lot of my thinking and talking to myself. But if you have watched this far, however far this may be for you, please comment below what you think a decent reset condition should be for Solar Spike, and tell me why. Anyway, Heaven's Crash Down was a bit simplified, I'd say, and it was also made more accessible because you can use it at any wound penalty instead of -4, so the chances are better that you get to actually use it. Then we have Streaming Arrow Stance, which we removed completely, and the Whispered Prayer of Judgment, which is okay but boring as fuck. There are charms in the Miracles of the Solar Exalted supplement, but I'm not going to go into them. They are backer charms, most of them, so I'm going to leave them as they are. I think I have improved the archery, Solar Archery charms here, and I hope you got something out of this video. If you have any suggestions for changes I made that you disagree with, or changes I made that you agree with, please comment below. If you have suggestions for alternative changes, or just general opinions about the archery charm tree, please comment below. I think we could have an interesting discussion about these charms and what the best way would be to revise them and make them up to par. I think that some charms I mean, I focused on revising the charms here, fixing them, but I think some charms could be rewritten completely instead of simply revised and made more interesting from the get-go to make the Solar Exalted more appealing as an Exalt type to play. I think the thing with Solars is that they're quite standard. They are appealing in the way that they are extremely powerful. They are the perfect beings, the Mary Sues of the setting, if you will. But because their charms are written first, they are often quite baseline, if you will. They have a lot of charm foundation in them, and then the Exalt types that comes after have their own charm sets pretty much based on this foundation. So I think the Dragonblooded charms, the Lunar charms, and the Exigent charms are much more compelling than the Solar charms, and that makes them much more interesting to play than Solars, in my opinion. Solars are neat in their own way, and if you manage to watch this far, I want to thank you for staying with me, and for playing Exalted. If you like this, comment below, share the video, like it, subscribe. And now it's almost 3 AM. I am hungry and tired, and I think that's it. Until next time. See you in Croatia.